as many of you are probably well aware, education funding is something that has been most prevalent on local districts' minds. The folks that have removed themselves from the roles or in the student population counts that dictate how much money each city and town get through Chapter 70s is something is really concerning for a lot of districts. And just to know that from what I've heard from the Secretary of Education here in the Commonwealth and others, to know that, whatever monies that is put into Chapter 70 through the state legislature is going to be supplemented by, so many more dollars that are going to be coming from the federal government to help all of the kids in the Commonwealth is just, for me, it's a relief to know that support is going to be there. But to more directly answer your question, it was one of the things that I found, distressing, and I think it's to the point that Rep Williams spoke about earlier, is the fact that when COVID first hit, I think one of the biggest surprises really that I found from my constituents was the fact that so many people found it so hard to believe that there were actually rules and regulations surrounding how to get unemployment, how many weeks of unemployment they can get. I heard on more than one occasion, and I found it disheartening to know that, members of my own community, the people that I represent, felt this way, but they just thought that, unemployment benefits were just something that was available, and you just had, you just put your name in and you got it, or disability funding, or there were so many different programs that people who had never had to, reach out and ask for help, who were in that position, found that there were rules surrounding that, and that the government was actually doing their job and verifying and cross-checking all these things. And so, that was one of the bigger things. But then, more importantly, I think what I found at the beginning of COVID, which was so significant, I think, for everybody, no matter what their where they were in life, was the fear that was felt across this country of the unknown. And I can only imagine that that's what people went through during the Great Depression, like not knowing where their next paycheck is going to come from, not knowing whether their homes were going to be foreclosed on because they couldn't make mortgage payments. And so I think that, it's something that, when I talk to my own kids about it, like, like here, this is something that we've never experienced. And you're going to be telling your kids like, oh, I remember what it was like to live through COVID when it hit, and how, like the level of fear is just something that I had never experienced. And like I think there were a lot of lessons learned from this, and I think that the government in all areas has responded, as good or better than I think many people would have expected. And so, I'm happy to have played a very small role in that, and I'm grateful that my congressman is leading the charge in the federal government, and the benefits are going to be there for people to see here in Massachusetts.